Don't give me hope.
Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Kyoto Bolt fam, it's the director. Chargers fans, all right, dudes, it's time to talk about it, man. I've been getting asked about this almost every day since the news was broken on Twitter and NFL Network. What about Brandon Aiyuk to the Los Angeles Chargers, specifically how it's asked? Why isn't anybody talking about Brandon Aiyuk to the Chargers? Today we're going to talk about Brandon Aiyuk to the Chargers, what I think could potentially happen if the Chargers were able to acquire him, how much he would cost, and if it's something I think the Chargers should be doing at this time. It's a pretty sensitive subject for a lot of people, considering that the team is being set up in a very specific way, right? The new Jim Harbaugh is off to a really good start in a lot of people's opinions. The offense is looking to take a new direction, right? There's a lot of things changing about the team, and whether or not Brandon Aiyuk fits in that new vision is something that's kind of been left to discussion with Chargers fans, as we have been linked by several different beat writers and sources, if you want to call them that, as a potential trade partner for the 49ers to acquire Brandon Aiyuk. And I'm not going to lie, man, the idea of Brandon Aiyuk to the Chargers is enough to get one excited. It really is. Like, he would be a massive, massive addition to this team. And right now it seems that, anything can sort of happen. So let's jump into the details of this and what I think and the whole idea about Brandon Aiyuk joining the team. Now, before we do kick off, shout out to the sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use code DIRECTOR to match your first deposit up to $250. Newcomers take advantage of the special on screen. This is a great way to support the channel and have some fun along the way. It truly is, guys. Thank you for all the support there. Before we do kick off, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into it, baby. You guys are going to like this. Lights, camera, action.
Who's got it better than us?
Into the end zone, Charger fans are witnesses to history.
All right. I'm waiting for the small applause. Brand new opener is finished. It may get tweaked a little bit before kickoff, but hey, I've been seeing a lot of people in the comment section, Director, we need to update the opener. I thought it turned out pretty sick. I'm not going to lie. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed the new opener. Hit us up too while you're at it. Let's jump into the Brandon Aiyuk trade rumors, things to be looking out for if you're a Chargers fan. Is it going to happen? Should it happen? Would it happen? Let's go ahead and talk about recent news as to what's going on. Okay, I don't know if we did a good job, enough job explaining it in the opener, but Brandon Aiyuk is I would say at this point unofficially on the move. It feels like it's more likely than not going to happen, right? It feels like it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time at this point. But the official, I feel like, stance of the San Francisco 49ers at this time is that they are not going to trade him, or at least they don't want to. And of course, that's something that a team's going to say, because they don't want to move on from premium talent. They don't want to get hosed in terms of a trade because they're being put in a position by their player to take a weaker offer because he wants off the team. They don't want to put themselves in that position. So that's officially what I'm hearing, that the Niners, they still don't want to trade Brandon Aiyuk, even given his request. But in reality, it feels like it's probably going to happen, and I'm starting to think it's going to happen even before kickoff. Camp is just around the corner. It's going to be a time where a team really wants to get a new player integrated, and so if Brandon Aiyuk's going to get traded, I feel like a lot of teams are going to want to make it happen before training camp. So that opens up the possibility of the Chargers trying to make something work in the next week. So if the Chargers are indeed a trade partner, it could be something that we see as soon as in the next week, okay? And again, that's a huge hypothetical. But if you're the Chargers or any NFL team, you want to get this new player integrated in your offense and with his new teammates as soon as possible. And training camp is one of the most valuable times in the offseason to make that happen. But even if it's not the Chargers, I think this window of before even kickoff, like, it feels way more realistic at this point. And it would be a big benefit for any team that decided to land him. We'll talk a little bit more about later in the season sort of trades in the video, because I do believe that's a big possibility as well. But for right now, let's go ahead and say the Chargers, yes, officially on the table, I would say, like hypothetically, for a Brandon Aiyuk trade. A lot of people, a lot of writers and NFL heads and stuff linking him to the Chargers as a potential destination, because let's be honest, he's the next big thing, right? And he would be a great fit. And in terms of the next big thing, let's talk a little bit about Brandon Aiyuk, the player, and what he would offer a new team. For instance, right, or I should say, to get things kicked off here with the Brandon Aiyuk narrative, it does feel like, and a lot of people may disagree with me here, it does feel like Aiyuk is the next big thing at wide receiver, right? Some people would argue against it. They would say he's had a couple of good seasons, but nothing's guaranteed in terms of development for any player at any position. To that, I would agree. Nothing's guaranteed. But right now, it's really trending in the right direction if you are a team looking for Brandon Aiyuk to be the next guy, right? He really does look good. He's only, 26 years old. He's hitting the prime of his career. And so far, he's looked like the real deal ever since he was drafted, right? He had a great start to his career. I think 1,000 yards, 8 scores in 2022. What was it? 1,350 yards and 7 touchdowns in 2023 is absolutely ludicrous. So if you're looking for consistency and growth, he has been growing, right? And that's just his last 2 years. Of course, the previous 2 seasons, if you clump everything together, his career stats are almost at 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns on 400 targets. Absolutely insane kickoff to the career of Brandon Aiyuk. This is the kind of asset that a lot of teams are going to look at and say, hey, man, if you're going to throw down and get maximum value, it's probably right now. Brandon Aiyuk is just hitting that stride. He's just hitting that age. He's just hitting that potential. And it feels like he is a wide receiver 1 on a majority of teams in the NFL, outside of the outliers of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Like Aiyuk realistically could be wide receiver 1 for a number of different teams. And the Chargers are absolutely no exception. Brandon Aiyuk did lead the 49ers in their wide receiver room the past 2 seasons. He has been their wide receiver 1, despite the fact that Deebo Samuel is a great talent, especially in a system like that George Kittle is a great talent when he's on the field. Now, it's been Brandon Aiyuk. And speaking of on the field, I don't think Brandon Aiyuk's missed very much time in his career either. You're talking about health, consistency, availability. Brandon Aiyuk is the full package. He's been amazing. And as far as a player, okay, director, he's up and coming. We get it. He's good. He's put up stats. As a player, does he fit what we want? He fits what everybody wants, man. Extremely good hands. Extremely crazy good route running. My word. Excellent speed. He's also a straight savage blocker, which of course is going to be something the Chargers are looking for from the position. Brandon Aiyuk really is the complete package outside of elite size, I would say. He's not short. He's 6 foot, somewhere around there, but he's certainly not this towering DK Metcalf sort of frame either. But you know what? It does feel like it's going to be something that works despite whatever you're envisioning for an elite wide receiver in the NFL, because he makes up for his size, I'll say, even if that's a little bit of a nitpick against him there, with all of the other incredible things that he adds to his game that are at an elite level. This is an elite wide receiver. And whether or not you agree with me or whatever, the numbers don't lie, the tape doesn't lie, everything doesn't lie in terms of backing up the fact that Brandon Aiyuk is a very good investment in terms of trade. He's more than likely going to hit for the next team that he goes to. Not to mention, in terms of the Chargers, he's very flexible, plays about, a quarter, 25% of his snaps in the slot. He would instantly wedge himself in as the Chargers' number 1 wide receiver, bar none, for sure. Right? The Chargers wide receiver room has some room to grow into itself, but if you're looking for something now, if you're looking for a product now, Brandon Aiyuk is as guaranteed of a really good investment for that position as you can possibly find in the NFL, right? I don't think there's even an option out there right now as good as Brandon Aiyuk. This is the top shelf premium talent that you're going to find at position for any team looking to acquire late in the offseason. Now, I mentioned this a couple times, in terms of a perfect fit, my word, the Chargers, this is probably a big reason why we're getting linked to so many, different articles and stuff like that as a potential trade partner, because in terms of fit, I don't know if the glove fits any better than on the Chargers team, right? Brandon Aiyuk would be in an excellent, excellent situation with this squad because we're looking to do a lot of similar things that the Niners have been doing, right? The Niners are a fantastic example of a run balance offense, right? The Chargers are looking to become the next team that can establish themselves on the ground as a legitimate ground threat, right? With your running back and your run game. We've not been that in a long time, but it absolutely does not mean that we're abandoning the pass either. We have Justin freaking Herbert, and that's going to be one of the main elements of this offense continuing into this season, despite all the rumors and the talk and the speculation about us being a run-heavy team. No, we're going to be more of a run-balanced team, and the Niners are a fantastic example of that system working at its peak. Everyone's been trying to emulate it for very many years now. The Shanahan system and its tree has been plucked apart because they want a slice of what that success has looked like. And Brandon Aiyuk is a premium example of what can happen for a player in a system like that. And the Chargers, mind you, I guess everyone's trying to emulate it in some way, shape, or form. The Chargers are a great example of a team that really are throwing down the chips to emulate a system like that, right? Not exactly like that, of course not, but okay, again, trying to establish the run, keep the pass, as efficient, I would say, as possible, and it's a perfect system fit for the Chargers and Brandon Aiyuk if we could make that marriage happen. Now, the Chargers, I should say the Niners, they have been beautifully set up to run the ball the past several seasons, right? They've been a very good run team for a while. You can date back to, previous even Jim Harbaugh, but even back in that day with Frank Gore, et cetera, like they've had great offensive lines. They've had really good running backs, and it's something that's been a huge identity of their team. I mean, most recently, you've seen guys like Christian McCaffrey run for nearly 1,500 yards. He had 13 or 14 touchdowns. Absolutely insane season. That's a big part of the Niners' identity. And they're so much so well built for a system like that even backups like Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell, those guys had great outings even when Christian McCaffrey wasn't on the field, and the Chargers are building something very similar to that, right? We don't have, I would say, our future identity at running back right now. We have a pretty good one, right, with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. I think that's going to translate very well, but more so what we're building in terms of elite position strength is that offensive line. We are setting up those guys for success, right? And that's something that the Niners have been very good at the past several seasons. And when you're in a system like that, of course, when the run game's looking good, the offense is moving at a good pace, this allows for wide receivers like Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, and of course, the recent Brandon Aiyuk to absolutely pop. Those guys go crazy because now all of a sudden the quality of every target, the quality of every pass is elevated because the offense is very healthy and things are moving and defenders are having a hard time, guessing what's going to happen in terms of run, pass, play action, RPO, whatever. When a healthy run offense is a healthy run offense, it's very, very likely that a wide receiver is going to pop in that system. And I feel like that's a big reason why you're seeing guys like Deebo and Brandon Aiyuk. They are very good individual talents, but when you inject them into a system like that, it elevates them tenfold. And I feel like that transition for Brandon Aiyuk to the Chargers would be a very smooth one, right? It'd be very, very nice to see his particular talent in a system that is very similar to what the 49ers have been trying to build in terms of offensive philosophy, right? And we are trending for the Chargers in terms of our offense, right, to feature one or two great wide receivers. Right now, we're looking at Ladd McConkey, one of my personal favorites. Maybe Quentin Johnson breaking out. We got a good one in Josh Palmer. And also, in terms of the future, by the way, because I want to keep that in mind. This acquisition is also looking towards the future. The Chargers, I do believe, are going to be big players for tight end in the next couple of years, whether it be free agency or the draft. I think they're going to be very similar to the Niners, where you got one or two really good wide receivers and a really good tight end, and then quite honestly, a premium run game. That is your identity. And Brandon Aiyuk, he really does help solve the number one wide receiver position for the Chargers going forward. Okay, so perfect system fit, not just for the Chargers and what they're looking for, but what Brandon Aiyuk is going to be looking for in terms of opportunity. Right? I think that's a great opportunity for him to go make a lot of money and find a lot of success. All right? And that is the system fit photo. I don't know where we got lost in the pictures, but yes, the 49ers have been a perfect fit in terms of what the Chargers trying to emulate. Brandon Aiyuk moving over to the Chargers would be a good situation for him. You know what's even a better situation for Brandon Aiyuk, though? No disrespect to number 13 in the photo right here, okay? I'm going to say right now, I think Brock Purdy is a good to great quarterback. I really do. I just had a conversation. Me and the Bolt Bros went out to a bar a week ago, and we ran into this 49ers fan who was super obsessed with his team and Brock Purdy. He said some really uncomfortable stuff. But all three of us, we agreed, like, yeah, Brock Purdy's good. Like, he's a good quarterback. I have respect for Brock Purdy and what he's done for the offense and how he's led multiple 1,000-yard, receivers throughout his career. Great story, great talent. I think Brock Purdy's a good situation to be in for a wide receiver. You know what's a better situation, though? Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert. You talk about a guy who has elevated talent in every team that he's had. I'm going to say every team because, honestly, it moves a lot. Justin Herbert's been with a new offensive coordinator, a lot of new talent over and over and over again since Oregon, right? It's a long time that he's been able to take the talent of a wide receiver or talent of players around him and elevate them because of his individual talent leadership, right? He's amazing. Brock Purdy, good situation to be in for a wide receiver. Justin Herbert is an elite situation to be in for a wide receiver. You think that Brandon Aiyuk, in terms of looking at trades, I don't know how much, say he has in it or how much influence he has on his destination. I think he's really out there for the money. But you think that for 1 second, he's also not thinking about who's my quarterback going to be? You think he wants to be the next Devontae Adams, who's literally crapping himself on the sidelines in fury that Jimmy Garoppolo can't hit him wide open for a touchdown week after week after week? I don't think he wants to be that. I don't think anybody wants to see that. I think in the back of his mind, he wants to go somewhere where the quarterback situation is healthy. And right now, in terms of the trades I've been hearing, like in terms of rumors, some of the teams that he's linked to, I'm not going to say they have the best quarterback situation, right? It's kind of TBH. One of the big ones I'm hearing about is the Patriots, right? Kind of TBH with them. We have to wait and see how Drake May kind of ends up, in there. So how he develops, right? Is he going to have a great offseason, a preseason, or whatever? We're going to see some kind of flash in the pan. We haven't yet. Maybe too late in terms of when Brandon Aiyuk wants to be moved. If he wants to be moved now, then we really don't have any idea what that quarterback situation is going to look like. Other teams like the Raiders have kind of been speculated. What's the quarterback situation out there? Bad, very bad. The Chargers do offer a very good situation for Brandon Aiyuk, which may end up influencing his pay a little bit. I would think not, but it's something to think about. Justin Herbert and Brandon Aiyuk would honestly take the league by storm. They really would be. In terms of looking for the next Keenan Allen, I don't think you can get closer than Brandon Aiyuk right now. And I have a lot of faith in Lad McConkey, man. I really feel like that's probably the best version of the Chargers realistically going forward right now. But if you wanted something that really emulated what Keenan Allen brought, as well as, again, kind of like Lad in a lot of ways, as well as adding the speed element and the score from anywhere element, like Brandon Aiyuk is tops. And when I say that, I mean, I think Brandon Ayuk's floor, let's say his floor with the Chargers because of Justin Herbert, I think it really realistically is like 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. And that's his floor, mind you. You link up his talent in this offense with Justin Herbert in particular, I think you can expect at least that. His ceiling, however, could get absolutely bonkers. Like, right, if this offense really does pop off and the team really does embrace the new identity right away and they start, working in sync and in chemistry or whatever off the get-go, I really do feel like his ceiling could be like his best season, which was 1,400 yards, a bunch of touchdowns. Let me see. I had it written down over here somewhere. Either way, his best season right here was 1,350 yards, 7 touchdowns, right? I do believe that ceiling is absolutely in the cards, but even better than his best season because now he's in a situation with Justin Herbert. I really honestly think that we're talking like 1,600 yards, double-digit scores if you're Brandon Aiyuk with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I really like league-leading statage percentage for wide receivers. Like, I do believe that's in the cards for a guy like Brandon Aiyuk in this situation. And that's a big reason why to pursue his talent if you are the Chargers, and a big reason to be excited about it if you are the Chargers fans. It's a big possibilities, big potential out here. Now, let's get down to brass tacks, though, man. Like, is this something that could happen? Is this something that the Chargers would entertain? Something that I see, possibly happening with the team? Let's first look at some of the specifics, right? Let's talk about cost first. And a lot of things that Chargers fans are going to ask me about immediately, and something I've been asked about a lot, honestly, since the news broke that he wants out, has been the acquisition costs, or AKA how much draft capital is this going to cost the Chargers? Who do we have to move? Blah, 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 blah. Off the bat, I'm going to tell you, there's really no way around it. I think Brandon Aiyuk, at least to me, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way, he is a first-round sort of trade cost player. I worded that terribly. To get Brandon Aiyuk, in my opinion, you're probably going to have to give up a first-round pick. That's kind of where I'm at with it. because he is trending towards being one of the better, if not best, wide receivers in the league in that sort of territory. He's only 26 years old. There's a lot going on for Brandon Aiyuk and his potential in his next team if he does get moved, okay? Now, if you're the Chargers, if you're another team, you might be able to get away with, like, second-round pick. I would imagine you'd probably have to lump in another seconds, like 2 second-round picks, a second and maybe a player. Like, there are ways to get around the first-round cost. But what I'm telling you right now is that I think, to me, just kind of speculating what he's going to cost, it's a first-round talent or first-round pick. And the way you slice that up could be, interpreted a number of different ways. One way that I'm seeing a lot, and there's a reason why you're seeing him on the photo here, is Joey Bosa. I've seen a lot of speculation that the Chargers could trade for Brandon Aiyuk for Joey Bosa. And that, a lot of it does revolve around the idea, especially by Niners fans, I'll say, that Joey Bosa would love to play with his brother Nick Bosa in San Francisco. It's been something that's been talked about for many years now, and it's something that, it kind of does make a little bit of sense. For the Chargers, who have a copious amount of talent at the position, we got Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Tuli Tuipulotu, and now Bud Dupree. Like, it is a position that our cup overfloweth, right? So if you wanted to move a player, premium player from any position on the roster, edge probably makes the most sense, and there's connections to him and Nick Bosa, right? Like, there's dots that are being connected here, okay? And in that trade, or in that scenario that I've been reading, it's been Joey Bosa and a 4th-round pick. And that scenario, you start to think to yourself, okay, maybe something is there. Maybe something does exist here. Now, the trade-off that you're getting for the Chargers is that Joey Bosa, his contract isn't crazy this year. Next year, it's a little bit higher. I would say it's quite a bit higher, but he may be worth it. In this system, if the Chargers, bet on him this year and it does pay off, let's say he does have a really good season like a lot of us are anticipating, then it's absolutely worth to pay him whatever he wants next season, which his contract does go for another year. Keep him on the roster is what I'm trying to say. However, you're the Niners and you're looking to get something for Brandon Aiyuk, and maybe not a lot of teams are biting in terms of the kind of costs that you're asking for. Maybe not a lot of teams are about trading a 1st-round pick or a couple of 2nd-round picks. Joey Bosa may be enticing enough, right? Like, their pass rush is something they've always been very aggressively trying to make better every year. They've been one of the better pass rushing teams every single season. Like the Niners, that's a big part of their identity. And it's something the Chargers are trying to emulate. But I don't think the Niners would overlook a trade for Joey Bosa at any point, especially because Joey Bosa, after taking a pay cut, is not going to cost a whole lot this season. Me personally, though, I don't know if that's going to be something I would do if I were the Chargers, especially after Joey Bosa takes the pay cut to prove it here with Khalil Mack. I don't know if I would do Joey that dirty that way, but it is something that I'm reading a lot about in a lot of different trade scenarios. Joey Bosa's kind of been the big name that's getting moved, along with like a 3rd or 4th-round pick to get Brandon Aiyuk. Okay, and there are situations too. I'm not going to say that it's concrete. Brandon Aiyuk could be had for less. I always reference the DeAndre Hopkins trade, which was shocking in many ways, as a big reason why you can never really, with any certainty, guess what a trade cost is going to be. And it could be the same thing here. A lot of the times it has to do with leverage. And right now the player has the leverage, having openly declared that he wants a trade, he wants out. There may be a holdout in the stars, who knows? But that adds leverage for the player to get moved and takes away leverage from the team to get premium capital. But that all makes sense to you guys. Long story short, he could be moved for something a bit less because the team might have their hands tied and he's going to be gone anyway. All right. So the Chargers, I mean, you never know. He could be had for like a 3rd in a very, very optimistic, reality that he's going to hold out and the Niners have no choice. Like, there's something that exists in that realm, but I would say it's more likely that he's going to cost a lot. Now, the big question a lot of people are asking as well in terms of cost is like, will the Niners even do that? Would they take a 2nd or 2 seconds or a 1st or Bosa and change? Like, would they do that? I think, honestly, yes, they would. At this point, with everything that's gone down with Brandon Aiyuk and the complications with his extension and the philosophies of their team, I do think it's something that they would entertain. They just drafted Ricky Pearsall. That's a big indication of insurance at a position like that. It feels like it's in the stars. It's going to happen, but it would be very costly for the team trying to acquire him. And that's just the first half. The second half of the complication, the second half of the equation there is the cost in terms of cap, right? This dude is not going to be cheap for his new team. The biggest reason why he's moving is because of money, right? He wants a new contract. Big part of this whole thing. And if you think for 1 second that he's not going to be, top 5, top 3 money at wide receiver, think again. Right? Maybe he takes a little bit of a discount for like a Justin Herbert situation, which I don't think would even happen. But let's be clear. Like, this is going to be a $30 million a season contract. It's something that the Chargers, I have a hard time believing that they're going to jump on that right away. They just moved on from Keenan Allen because he carried a similar price, a similar cap hit. And that's one of the best, if not the best, Chargers wide receiver of all time. To turn around and give that money to Brandon Aiyuk, sure, in some ways it makes sense. You're upgrading because of the age. He's got the upside, right? But he's not Keenan Allen yet. He may never be Keenan Allen. There's an upside there, of course, but it's a bet. It really is. And the money is going to be the deciding factor for him and his team, right? If he's getting traded, it's going to be he's going to want to get paid. And the Chargers at $30 million, it's a big ask. Never say never. And yes, we do have the money to make it happen. A lot of people wondering, like, can we even swing that? Yeah, absolutely, they could. But like I mentioned, we moved on from 2 really good wide receivers with pretty big cap hits this last season, and Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. Will they turn around and give it to a different wide receiver? They could. Brandon Aiyuk has not had very much, if at all, health issues. His talent is elevating. You could. Some people consider him like a Keenan Allen with speed. There's that could work towards the Chargers' favor, but it would be very expensive. Does that fit the vision of the Chargers? Which is going to lead me to my ultimate point in this video, something that Chargers fans have asked a lot the past couple of weeks, especially what my opinion is on it. I'm going to kind of lump it all together. Is this going to happen? Is it something that should happen? Do I think the Chargers should move in on this? At this point right now, I'm going to say no. And a lot of people may be upset at me about that, which is it's fine, right? I mean, I get it. Brandon Aiyuk's a big talent. I just dropped so much knowledge on you guys as to why he would be a big deal on this team and how he would elevate the offense and be a very big move for the franchise. It would be huge. Brandon Aiyuk would be huge. But me personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if I would do it at this point either. Right? I'm all about big, hype acquisitions and big talent and all that kind of stuff. But I think right now the Chargers are in a very interesting spot in terms of roster build, right? We have a new head coach, new offensive system, philosophies, new GM, right? The whole team is taking a move in a different direction, and it may be more beneficial for the Chargers to sit back and see what they have, right? And understand the strengths of their assets in this new situation, in this new territory, before trying to add premium pieces like that to the roster before they even know what they got, right? We don't even know what they're going to look like on kickoff, right? We don't even have preseason under our belt. We don't really know how this system and how this offense is going to perform quite yet. They could be awesome. A lot of us betting that they're going to be awesome. But if not, is wide receiver, is that one signing the thing that'll tilt you over the edge as, okay, we went from good to great or bad to good? We don't know that yet. Brandon Aiyuk could be the answer to that, but we just don't have enough data. So my 2 biggest reasons of thinking the Chargers maybe don't do this is, number one, existing roster talent and trying to evaluate the new system and how that's all going to sync up. And 2, it's going to be cost. Quite honestly, that's a lot. Chargers giving up on Joey Bosa, I don't want to see that. I'm a big Joey Bosa fan, but I think that aside, he took a pay cut to have another shot with Khalil Mack, who also took a pay cut. I just don't think you do that, right? I don't think the Chargers give up a first-round pick, that's what I think it's going to cost. I don't know if the Niners, even with the leverage of Brandon Aiyuk, take anything less than like a second or a pair of second-round picks, right? I think the terms of cost also kind of gate me in terms of, okay, we want a premium wide receiver, but I don't know if Aiyuk is the answer because of this factor and that factor and all that kind of stuff, right? And the team right now, yes, we're moving towards run balance. It's a great player to nab in that system. It's something that I think would benefit the team. Like, all this stuff decided, if the Chargers did end up getting Brandon Aiyuk, this would be a really, really good move. But at what cost, right? We have players right now that could work, I don't know if just as well, but they have the potential. You guys know how big of a believer I am in Ladd McConkey. I want to see Ladd McConkey as wide receiver 1 for this team, or, as a big premium part of the offense in this season, in his rookie season. I believe so much in his talent in that way. A lot of it in the same regards I hold Brandon Aiyuk. Elite route running, elite speed, great hands, right? Just needs to stay on the field a little bit more. Maybe that's a bigger risk in terms of weighing, the 2 players. I want to see that work out. I want to see what happens with Quentin Johnson. I want to see Josh Palmer, in this offense and how he performs. I want to see DJ Chark, right? And the 7th round guys and Brandon Rice, Cornelius Johnson. We have a lot of wide receivers. And I want to see how that works in this offense, in this team build right now. You know what I mean? And if we grab Brandon Aiyuk, it would be amazing. I'm going to say it would be great, and I think it will work out if that ends up being the case. But what would we have given up on in terms of the potential of a Quentin Johnston comeback season, of the potential of a Ladd McConkey wide receiver 1 season? I don't know. And that, my friends, is a much, much cheaper option for the Chargers as well. We have some big potential on the roster, but my word, it's at a hugely discounted price. I think we're on the hook for like under $15 million total for our projected starters. Isn't that insane? All of our wide receivers, 5 or 6 of them, I think you can add it all up for this season, and they're under $15 million. Brandon Aiyuk would be $30 million for 1 year. Double the price. Does that make sense? And that's a big reason why I think the Chargers, again, cost being a big part of it, would not move on it, because the price of his contract is also a very big deal. $30 million a year is a big ask. Right now, the Chargers have, I would say, some really good potential on the roster at half the price of this one player's contract. It's big. A big deal. But all I'm going to say, because I know there's going to be a lot of people out there like, hey, dude, not kill the dream. And I'm not going to kill the dream at all. I think, me personally, I don't know if I would do it. I don't think the Chargers are going to do it. But you can never say never anymore, man. We have to remember, this is our first season with brand new GM Joe Ortiz. Never say never. Joe, he and his team with the Baltimore Ravens previous, right? He was a director of player personnel, very much so involved in player acquisition. They have thrown down in the recent past, for premium players at premium positions. With the Ravens, Joe Ortiz, he helped traded for guys like Yannick Ngakoue, which was kind of a big deal back then. Calais Campbell, I think it was the same season in 2020. They went out and got Marcus Peters in 2019, which was a big acquisition back then. And then most recently, Roquan friggin' Smith, one of the highest in-demand linebackers in the NFL, goes to the Ravens under his regime. We don't know what's going to happen. In Chargers seasons past, I'd say, no way, we're not getting Brandon Aiyuk, but I don't know about Joe. And that circles me back to one more aspect of this video that I wanted to cover, is that Joe Ortiz could be the reason why a late acquisition could be in the stars. Was Roquan a late trade? I think he was, right? I don't know if we have to get Brandon Aiyuk right now in order to get Brandon Aiyuk at all. There's a world where Brandon Aiyuk doesn't get traded. Niners stick by their guns, and he goes into the season. Maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't, whatever. And maybe by that point, the Chargers, let's say, getting close to the trade deadline, around, what is it, Thanksgiving, somewhere around there, November. Let's say the Chargers at that time are what we hope they are, right? They are a good team. The offense is humming, and maybe a better wide receiver does feel like it would tip us, over the edge. Like, that would do it. A premium wide receiver like Brandon Aiyuk, that takes this offense to the next level. Joe Ortiz, for all we know, could be the guy that says, let's move. I know we haven't seen it a lot in the past, but man, this is a new Chargers. This is my Chargers. We're going to go get Brandon Aiyuk. We're going to make a solid run of the postseason, and then outside of that, we got a great wide receiver 1 going into the future. That could realistically be the case. And I actually find that a little bit more believable than picking him up before training camp, or before kickoff even. I think the argument for Brandon Aiyuk being a Charger by the end of the season is legitimate. I think for very many reasons, you could consider it a huge upgrade for the team and a realistic move for the front office. I don't think it would happen, at least right now, but I'm open to the idea because, hey, man, Joe Ortiz has done an awesome job so far. He's got history of moving on big players at positions like that, or premium positions. I do feel like it's something that could be in the starts. Again, never say never. It's kind of the X factor of this whole video. Joe Ortiz is a big deal. And it's one that I'm anticipating does surprise us in some way, shape, or form. And it could be in the shape of a Brandon Aiyuk acquisition, either early or even later in the season. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been the Sweaty Director. Man, something is up with the AC today. We'll catch you guys next time. As always, bolt up, stay frosty. Oh, let me know what you guys think about a Brandon Aiyuk acquisition in the comment section below and all that fun stuff. All right, we'll catch you guys next time. As always, bolt up, stay frosty. I'm going to go grab a cold Coca-Cola, baby.